Hello, 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 everyone, and hope you're all having an amazing day or had an amazing day, depending on your current time zone. So, today I figured we'd talk a little bit about how I manage my calendar, especially when it comes to like all of the exhausting appointments and all of the requirements as far as like making sure that I'm able to meet the needs of my daughters well, my youngest daughter at school. Also making sure that my oldest stays on track when it comes to just managing her health and making sure that her kidney functions as long as possible because we definitely want it to be around for a very, very long time. We want to keep her healthy. Not only that, but understanding that I also have work and also have let's just say goals of mine that I need to keep track of when it comes to roles and responsibilities at Alani's school as well, because we are required to do at least 15 hours of volunteer work at school. So all of that and combined, I think it's really important to be able to manage your time in a healthy way, obviously, and also in an efficient way so you don't get burnt out. And I think that a lot of times we just want to be that superhero mom or dad, and in making sure that we're able to meet all of the needs of our children, especially if you have children with disabilities, because it is a rather difficult process to manage just on its own, let alone scheduling doctor's appointments and so forth. So welcome to those of you guys that are new to my channel. Welcome back to my seasoned subscribers. On Mondays, I do videos all about fashion, accessories, just fun things that I enjoy doing to keep my mind off of the second half of the week videos, which are all about my two girls and their journeys battling two diseases, TSC and FSGS. TSC being tuberous sclerosis complex or tumors that can grow in any major organ throughout your body, and FSGS being a form of kidney disease that causes damage to the glomeruli, which can lead to kidney disease, kidney failure, kidney transplant, or kidney dialysis, depending on the disease's progression. So if you're interested in either or, please hit the little subscribe button and hit the little bell so you can be notified on all of my latest videos. And please don't forget to hit the like button and comment below. Let me know what you think of today's video. And please don't forget to subscribe. It is 100% free and also helps me to get to my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of year 2025. Thank you again for all of your love support. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And let's get started. Ooh, ooh. So I think the biggest struggle for me initially was, how do I manage all of the girls' doctor's appointments, as well as making sure that I'm able to do my very best at work, as well as making sure that I hit all of the goals that I need to, and ensuring that I make sure that I get all my hours of volunteer hours in at school for my youngest, making sure that my oldest has my attention, especially when it comes to like any major, like one and done's where we gotta go and there is no, hey, I don't have time for this. There is no time for that. Like making sure that I have blocked the time out if there is an emergency and I have to shoot out. Also, if there is like any type of like those one-off incidents where, like for example, my youngest, we ended up finding out that she had a cyst in her pancreas, so this threw off an entire week of appointments, so we had to rearrange that stuff. So being able to manage your time, especially when your life is so chaotic, can be overwhelming. It can also be very difficult, especially on your mental state, as far as your health is concerned, as far as like your stress levels are concerned. So it's really, really important to not only be able to handle the load, because no matter what, you're going to have to find a way to manage this time, right? But to be able to manage your health as well, right? So it's really key. My oldest was always, or Amber was always telling me, Mom, you got to take care of yourself because, we need you guys around. We need you around for a long time. And, you have to be able to not only care for us, but also care for yourself. Because if you're not healthy, then it's going to be even harder or more difficult on the family, right? Because no matter what, I really don't have a lot of time to be sick because of all the responsibilities that myself and my husband have around the house. We really don't have time to be sick. So we have to stay on top of our health along with making sure that everything is running in the household. So with that also comes with caring for our two dogs, because I have two hot dogs, or two Dotsies that I absolutely adore, Link and Lola, and they're such good dogs. But obviously we got to care for our pets as well. We can't leave them alone because they're like little toddlers, especially my little Lola, my little mischievous Lola. So it's really important to be able to be here, not only physically, mentally, is really, really key. Okay, so some of my best friends, or some of my go-tos, and yeah, I call them my best friends because it's really it's key, are not my planners, which is really, really important. If there's something that my doctor or my daughter's doctors tell me and I tend to forget now as I get older, my memory isn't what it used to be, I'll take my little pocket planner with me and I'll write it down, or I'll jot it down in my phone. So one good way to kind of keep track of what's going on, especially when it comes to our day-to-day chaos, is to Google Calendar. And the reason why is because it's shareable. So what I do is I'll take my Google Calendar, I'll jot down the dates and the times of any events that I have, and I share it with my husband. This is something that's worked really good for us, because something that I might not remember, my husband would be like, but you have it on your calendar, and I could backtrack and say, oh, I forgot that I had that for tomorrow, or I have that for next week. So, for example, next week on the 29th, my daughter had an appointment with her neurologist, my youngest, Alani. And I ended up finally getting through to her GI surgeon, which is who we really need to see just to get some input on her pancreas or her pancreatic cyst. So we ended up having to reschedule her nephrologist because of the importance of getting in to see her GI surgeon, which we haven't been able to get a hold of for like months, like seriously, like months. It's just, he's always so packed. So we finally got an appointment, so I wasn't going to miss out on that. So we ended up rescheduling, changing it on the Google Calendar, and then sharing it immediately to my husband so that he can keep track of it as well. So stuff like my youngest Alani, her school schedule is chaotic. She was doing volleyball on Tuesdays. She was doing soccer. Excuse me. She was doing volleyball on Thursdays, and she was doing soccer on Tuesdays. I'm telling you, I don't even remember. It just finished last week, so stuff like that I had to keep track of, because I knew that I had to like leave at a certain time, go get her later than usual during her school time. So what I ended up doing the week before, I left at my usual time at 3 o'clock, went to go get her, and lo and behold, she was in soccer. So that's why it's really important for us to keep track of it, because sometimes we'll do stuff like that and we don't want to make that a routine, right? So when I got there, I was like, oh, I'll come back, and I completely forgot. So stuff like that is really important, because especially if you're, let's say you have a job that you have to physically leave, like I'm fortunate enough that I do work from home, so I'm able to get out and go get her quickly and come back. But stuff like that, like for mom and dads that work in an office environment, it's a little bit more difficult, right? Because you have to actually physically leave from your company and then go get your child, or have to arrange it with someone else in the family to go pick up your child. So it's really important. It's a very stressful situation though, like if it's has to be with has like a doctor related situation, right? So for Alani and Amber, they both are required to see the dentist on a regular basis. So for example, like she had an appointment with her dentist, but we ended up going to the ortho, and unfortunately it was in two different cities, which are about 45 minutes apart. So we ended up having to cancel her appointment and reschedule it with her dentist, because we went to the wrong location. So stuff like that is really important, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. And a lot of factors that come into play with that is the fact that she has so many regular appointments that it's really easy to forget. So even with having all the calendars set up, having all the stuff written down, and then sometimes we tend to forget to look at that stuff and just assume that we know where we're going, and we just go with the flow because it's just such a common thing. Now, I have learned my lesson. So I double check and I recheck, and I also talk to my husband beforehand. So he kind of tells me, hey, Kathy, make sure you check your calendar before you leave, because with all the chaos, and since our lives are so chaotic all the time, and since there's so many appointments all the time, it's just kind of like it's almost like get up and go, instead of saying let me check and make sure and verify that even all the information is written down in my planner or written down in my calendar. It's still really important to kind of step back, take a look at it, make sure that you know where you're going, and make sure you have you have your directions in, make sure that you have the right place and the right location, because that can add to the stress, right? So because not only are you missing your initial appointment, but now you have to reschedule another appointment, or you have to rush to the other location, especially if it's like an important doctor that it took you 3 months to see. that can be extremely frustrating. Thank goodness for me that has not happened. And definitely when it comes to stuff like that, whether it's neurologist or nephrology and stuff like that, I make sure to triple check. I think that I tend to kind of take a, get a little bit more lax when it comes to like dentists and stuff like that, or the eye doctor. So I've learned though to double, triple check anytime I'm going to do that. Now, a big part of the more specialist when it comes to like the kidney specialists or the heart doctors and stuff like that, I tend to kind of find a way to schedule a lot of I tend to schedule a lot of these appointments together around the same time or the same day, especially if, like, say we have to travel to Tampa, which is quite a ride from us. So if we have to drive into Tampa, what I'll do is I'll kind of like make sure that I have, like, let's say I'll go to one doctor at 10, go to another one at 1, go to another one at 3, so I knock them all out the same day, as opposed to having to go to Tampa 4 times in a month. I'll just have to go like I'll go one day and I'll just knock out 3 or 4 appointments and get them done. I know sometimes it might seem a little bit overwhelming, but it's a lot better for us in essence, because not only are we driving that far to go there, but I'm also pulling Alani out of school. So that's another reason. For Amber, because she's done with school and stuff like that, she's able to schedule her appointments a lot more fluently and a lot more easily, because obviously she doesn't have to worry about missing school, right? Well, she's working, but it's a little different now. So her job is very fluent. She works from home as well. So another thing is that whenever she has to go to Gainesville, she knows that she's going to see all of her specialists that same day. So she doesn't have to worry about going back to Gainesville. Like in the beginning, it was a little different, where she'd have to go maybe once or twice a week, um, or sometimes she had to go 3 times. She actually worked with the specialist, and they actually helped her set up her schedule. So in a way, she didn't have to keep going back, because that's actually even further for us. It's about a 2.5 hour drive for her. So it's really very difficult. And sometimes if she has to see a doctor early in the morning, she'll leave the day before and she'll have to stay in a hotel. So it adds to the stress and the exhaustion of the drive, as well as with the just having to deal with all the doctors. She'd rather do it that same day, get all the stuff done, get all her tests done, get all of her issues addressed, and then not have to worry about going back for another 3 months. So it just works out for us better. And it's really, really, especially if you live far from your doctor, I would highly recommend that you get all your appointments scheduled for the same day. Don't wait. Get that stuff done, get it over with, get all your tests done. That way you have all the information you need to schedule any other specialist that you need to see, just based off of that testing, right? So for Alani's regular doctor, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. They actually, which is really cool, is that they actually have like weekend appointments available if you wanted to get like a flu shot or get your stuff done, especially because they both have TSC. It's really important for them to get their flu shot, whether get their COVID shot, because having kidney disease, it puts her in a situation where it's really, really dangerous for Amber, especially that if she gets COVID, it can be extremely devastating for her. And Alani, we don't want her getting fever, because it can pretty much trigger a seizure. So all this stuff is really important, that we stay on top of them, and the importance of the importance of seeing our doctors, and making sure that we get our schedules set up in a way that we're not going crazy. Another cool thing that I have that I love, love, love in our kitchen, because it's very rustic style, we have a board, so a chalkboard. So what's fun about the chalkboard is that, for my purposes, I'm a very visual person. I am artistic. I love arts. I love the arts, the fine arts. I love drawing. I love to go see plays, and just I love movies and stuff like that. So I'm very, very artistic. I have always been since a young girl. So what I ended up doing was getting a chalkboard, and what I do is I'll write anything like really, really important, a date and stuff like that. I will write it on there, especially if it's like especially a specialist that we've been waiting for 6 months to see. I write it on there, and every morning I look at the board and I remind myself I gotta go see the specialist. So that's another good way to keep track of your stuff, and it's a good way to keep track. Like if Your kid, you can put a chalkboard in your kid's room and make sure you write it on there too, so that way your child remembers as well, and she or he can help you remember when your appointment is scheduled for. So yeah, that helped a lot. Actually, saved me a few times. Anyway, all right, guys, I hope this information finds you well, and I hope it adds to your day. Again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out to check out my video. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel as I continue to approach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you again. And please don't forget to focus through and evolve. Ciao.